Hello creatives, so today I'm talking about where you can find inspiration for the stories that you tell. So whether you're a book writer or a script writer or some other type of creative storyteller, there's a number of different ways you can find inspiration, and I'm going to use examples for where I find my inspiration for the stories that I write. So for those of you who are new or new to the channel, my name is Rochele Rosa. I am a marketing strategist in New York City by day, and by night I am a creative consultant. I work on freelance projects and for creative professionals, creative brands, that sort of thing. And I'm currently in the process of finalizing my last revision of a book that I'm working on and hoping to self-publish later this year called Vicious Circle. So the book is a young adult sci-fi about a teenage girl who's used in a genetic experiment and thrown into the middle of a brewing Cold War between an underground society of mutants and the civilian organization that polices them. So that's a mouthful, but this is quite literally my brainchild, my life's work. This whole concept for this book started out as a game on the playground. I was in like first grade, and first or second grade, and it was just a daydream at first that I had because I grew up watching sci-fi. I grew up loving the Marvel movies, and Static Shock was one of my favorite shows. Teen Titans, like the whole thing. Love superheroes, love the concept of mutants. And in like second grade, I created this playground game where everyone had their own code name, they had their own powers, and like at some point, like I went to a really small school, but at some point all the second graders plus some of the first and third graders were playing this game. So there was like 50 kids playing this game. We were all calling each other by our code names in the classroom for a little while, and I got frustrated because like I had a plot line in my head for every character, and I was getting frustrated because people weren't following the plot line that I had in my head. But anyways, so what I'm saying is that this book started out as a game on the playground. One of my school teachers noticed that I had a very active imagination for a child, and she's like, let's redirect this creative energy into writing. Maybe you should become an author or something. And so I took that and I ran with it, and spent like all of middle school researching intellectual property rights, because I thought that I was going to end up being an international subsidiary rights manager for a publishing house, managing the contracts for translation rights, for movie option rights, for taking books and turning them into TV or film. That didn't happen. I ended up in marketing. I have an MBA in marketing, the whole gambit. All that to say is that inspiration can come from anywhere. For me, inspiration came in large part from the TV shows that I watched as a kid, the movies that I watched as a kid, but also like as I got older and I became much more culturally aware, especially towards the end of high school, beginning of college. I really feel like the bones of the plot really took hold in high school, but the characters, the nuances that make the story believable, realistic, raw, like there's a lot of commentary, social, political commentary within the story, but it's interwoven into the world that I have built. That part didn't come until later in college, when I was in my journalism degree, and I had my first corporate internship, and I saw corporate politics and the 2016 chaos, like just a lot of stuff that really came into play, and there's elements, there's touches of real world concepts that kind of mold, that I have used to influence the world that I've built within the story of Vicious Circle. In terms of the characters themselves, almost every character has some piece of me in them, and I did that because I wanted the characters to feel real. Every character has their own arc. Like, just because the, like, quote unquote main character, I say the main character, but she's more of a plot device in the first book than like the actual main character. I don't know if you've heard of like the concept of main character energy, or like, you know, like every character in the book has main character energy. They have their own motives, their own ideals, their own goals, and sometimes those conflict with each other, and I tried to make that very evident. So every character has pieces of me in them, or pieces of people from past seasons of my life, or interesting people that I've read about or have seen in like documentaries and stuff. So they are very loosely based on real people, just to ground the story in reality. So yeah, inspiration for your story can come anywhere. It can come from other forms of media, and like something that I mean, there was a lot of influence from my upbringing and the stories that I was, you know, grew up watching, resonated with, but also like the science aspect of things. Like for a while when I was a kid, I thought I was going to be a virologist. I thought I was going to be like a detective, or work in the intelligence community or something. So there's elements of me, and there's elements of the things that I thought I was going to end up becoming in this story. So it's, I took inspiration from the world around me, and the possibilities of futures and opportunities and decisions that I didn't take. So I took those and just kind of wrapped the story around that. I'm sure if someone were to psychoanalyze this book, they'd be like, this girl's a little messed up. But yeah, I think it makes for a really interesting, believable story, and I've gotten that feedback from beta readers and editors, saying that like there's a lot of really good grounding, a lot of world building. It's ambitious, is what I've been told, but it works well together. Like, it works. Having multiple points of view, having lots of different characters with various degrees of agency. And all of it is because I took inspiration from the world around me. Yeah. So that is where I found inspiration for my storytelling, and I would love to know what your inspiration has been for your writing and your storytelling. Let me know in the comments below, and with that, until next time.